Right, so the new dust extraction has arrived, and the warning sign should have been that it was arriving by pallet force, not parcel force, which got me wondering. Anyway, it's in here, it's set up, it's put together now. Do you want to have a quick look at it? Let me spin you around. Oops. Oh my goodness. We're going to need a bigger boat. Alright folks, hello again and welcome back to my channel. Around 6 months ago I posted a video on my channel asking for advice in regards to upgrading my dust extraction within the workshop, and I'd like to take this opportunity for all of you who took the time to reply either via the comment section in the video or direct messages. It gave me a solid platform to start my research for something that would be suitable for both myself and my rather bespoke needs, but also fitted in well with my setup in the workshop. And here we are, the Record Power 200 litre CamVac. This video is looking at how I, with the help of the foreman obviously, managed to get it off this pallet, down into the back garden, unboxing it, into the workshop, putting the thing together, an initial overview, and a little sit down with him at the end, talking about my first 5 months of ownership, which will hopefully give you a comprehensive guide as to what I think of this machine. Before we proceed, I think it's really important to let you know this is bought and paid for with my own money, so no sponsorships, no affiliates, no nothing, just a true honest review of this machine. Just to remind you of my desired criteria for the upgrade, I wanted a unit with a more powerful motor than my previous Axminster Craft setup. Maybe a cyclone system incorporated into the unit. Most definitely none of that plastic bag malarkey for the waste that used to drive me to the point of insanity when having to refit it. Ideally a UK 3-pin socket, as I only have one 16 amp socket in the workshop, and a budget of up to £1,500. This monster of a CamVac from Record Power, or to give it its official name, the CGV 486-6, which sounds a little bit more like a Star Wars character, ticked all but one of the boxes. But as it turns out, that was perfectly fine, which hopefully I'll be able to explain later. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you may have seen it in action in previous videos, and especially on my other social media. My website members and YouTube members have been following this journey since it arrived at the end of February. Anyway, back to putting this thing together. I have to say it was relatively straightforward. The wheelbase is an optional extra that I ticked and can be purchased for around £70, but I'm sure most folk would just probably make their own. The wheels are connected to a circular piece of metal that is fixed to the underside of the barrel by expanding out a bolt. Yes, it was a bit fiddly with the only one working hand sense, but I managed to get it done, and I've no doubt you'll be able to complete this bit in half the time. Please allow me this 20 seconds of shameless self-promotion. If you're interested in seeing behind the scenes footage in the world of hand-eye craft, ad-free versions of these public-facing YouTube videos, and the occasional vlog video where I talk more about personal matters, for the price of a small coffee, yes, only £3 per month, you can join either via YouTube membership or via my website. A link to my website can be found in the description box. On to the filters with this sock, paper bag and elastic band malarkey. Again, this was straightforward to attach. Yes, I have seen the upgrades that Dennis from Hooked on Wood has attached to his CamVac that looked more like HEPA filters. I believe he sourced these from the USA, and I'm definitely going to look into purchasing these. By the time this video goes out, who knows, the UK could be subject to 8,000% tariffs. Anyway, moving on. That's not to say this setup hasn't performed really well up to now. Without giving any spoilers away from my monologue at the end, it has performed immaculately in this current manufacturer's setup. The big net is placed into the barrel to help filter out even more of those nasty little particles. Then the lid and motors are placed onto the top of the barrel and sealed. The 100mm 4-inch hose is attached to the port and the extractor is ready to go. As simple as that. Right, let's fire it up. One motor. Two motors. Three motors. Right. Let's try these silencers a bit then. Right, that's the 3 motors running with the exhaust vents off, so just literally at its loudest. I'll go and put 2 motors on with the vents on. Just give me a minute. No, I can't hear anything either. Let's go back in. Right, folks, it's come for the monologue time at the end, and I've even made notes, so I must be taking it seriously. So this has been with me now for just over 5 months. So it's fair to say, although there's an unboxing at the beginning and you followed the journey through the video, I've had quite a bit of time with this now, so I know what it's doing, I know what it's capable of, and it's an incredible machine. Now, let me list the reasons why, and then let me explain towards the end why I think this CamVac setup, maybe not in the 200 litre size for you, is a very good idea indeed. First and foremost is the sheer power of the thing. The extraction is absolutely incredible. Where my previous machine struggled, for example on the planer thicknesser, with my old machine with the Axminster, the Craft one, albeit it's only the entry range, you know, so it's maybe not suited for small business, I won't say industrial, but you know what I mean. After a while of planing with it, I'd be almost ankle deep in shavings on the floor. If I go with 2 motors on this, or if I really wanted to put the turbo boost on and push it up to 3 motors, as you might see in a little bit of footage here, the way it draws the chips out of the machine is, I keep saying the word, is just incredible. And some of the things that they say, oh, you should never do, like bending the hose, because that will reduce the power and reduce airflow and all that kind of thing. Well, I had it turned at 180 degrees when it was in post-box mode, if you like, thicknessing mode or planing mode for the US, and then round to this, and it just didn't phase it at all. You know, I could show a little bit of footage now with these things. Obviously these aren't calibrated to what, so it's only to give you an idea with the 1 motor, the 2 motor, the 3 motors, the power that it's actually drawing on. With 1 motor on, I'd say it's fine for doing kind of cleaning up the shop floor, or some lighter tools. If you get the actual connectors, you know, things probably fine for like the likes of sanding or small hand tools, jigsaw, something like that. 2 motors, I'm using it pretty much on everything, you know, so that's kind of, it's drawing a lot of power, it's the chip extracting, and it's rare that I actually go to 3 motors. I'll explain the 3 motor thing a little bit later on. I do use that facility, don't use it too often, but I'll explain it on the machines a little bit later. I'll come to that one. Obviously the capacity of this one is 200 litres. Now, to give you a visual idea, I think a wheelie bin in the UK, a standard size wheelie bin, I think is 240 litres. So you're getting up to packed in something that size. I've only had to empty it the other day, been putting it off, purely my fault. Yes, it was over full. But going back to like my rationale for upgrading what I wanted, this is on the wheels. Actually emptying it was straightforward, you know, like I could use either the drawbridge, lower that down. I could even get it through just a standard size UK door, the UPVC door that I've got fitted to the workshop, and I tilted it onto, I've got like a garden trolley thing, so I can take it out along that, or as part of the case at the back of the garden, I've kind of spread it amongst the wild kind of bit, you know, all the birds nesting, that kind of stuff. So as a one-off, I could do it for that. Or alternatively, easy to get it bagged up. What it does mean is I no longer have to worry about the bag situation that a lot of dust extractors have. Difficult enough to do with 2 hands, even if you do the magnet trick and stuff. One hand, it was infuriating. And also the kind of limited capacity of it. When I was doing a lot of jointing or thicknessing or planing, I was, you know, changing the bag up 2 or 3 times a day, and I was losing up to an hour's productive work time. So having this, albeit this is obviously a large one, I've got the capacity, I've got the room for it in this workshop. Having said that, this takes up less floor space than my previous one, you know, because it was longer. Oh, this is a little bit wider, but because you had the motor and then you had the bag with the filter bit on the top, so actually this takes up less space than those traditionally shaped, shall we say, small to medium workshop size dust extractors. So that's something to bear in mind. This is the biggest one they do. The noise levels. Now, this is an interesting one. Because of the actual vents, the exhaust or whatever you come, the difference between those being on and those being off is quite a lot. Now, I can cut to a little bit of footage here. Again, I'm only using an iPad with the decibel meter thing, so, you know, I can't atone for its calibrated accuracy, but let's have a little quick look at that. I showed you some footage earlier on in the video where I just kind of was outside and stuff, but let's just cut to a little bit of footage and show you where we're at with those two. Okay, so there's quite a big difference there. Now, I only bought 2 of the exhaust vents, even though there's the capacity for 3. I will buy a third one at some point. I think they were around about £25. Currently, I just have it when I'm using it to that window at the back and just kind of vent it out that way. Now, one thing that I watched a video by Dean at Woodwork Journey quite a while ago now, actually, where he's made his own kind of extraction with a HEPA filter and stuff. Brilliant ideas what he'd done. And I messaged him talking about this, and he said one thing to be mindful of is obviously this is venting out, it's sucking in and then it's also venting it out, and it's venting out probably warm air from the workshop, so the temperature could drop in it. And it's a really valid point. What I'm probably going to do is drill out through the walls, if you like, and then put a vent on outside that I can just close, open and close when I'm using this. One thing that I didn't think about, and I probably will experiment with this maybe for a video later on in the autumn and winter time, obviously when it's colder outside but I've got heating on in here, is I think, Dean, that the warm air that gets vented out will be offset by the heat that this generates, because it does get quite warm. And I've noticed since having this in here, the workshop gets noticeably warmer than it has done in the past. And I think that's down to this, just when it's running, it's generating heat into the workshop. So I think probably it will offset it. I don't know, and maybe that's something I can test out later on in the year. But yeah, just to pick up on that point, Dean, that we kind of discussed virtually a few months ago now. Going back to the 2 motors, 3 motors thing. Now, machines that have traditionally really struggled in here in the past, and that would be the bandsaw, that would be my small Ferrex belt and disc sander, and also since acquiring it, the drum sander. And also one more, sorry, the router table, my trend router table. So with the other one, with the airflow, the draw not being that particularly powerful, those machines really struggled. So, the belt and disc sander, a plume, a cloud would start forming in here. I'd always use my trend air shield, but also when that goes up, it has to settle somewhere, doesn't it? So you end up with a very dusty workshop environment, which is not ideal. Since this fella's arrived though, since this bad boy's arrived, putting it onto 3 motors with any of those machines has completely transformed the dust extraction in this workshop. Hand on heart, I can say that 100%. So I've got a Laguna 18BX, big bandsaw, and it's got 2 ports, one just under where the bed is and one at the bottom. Whereas in the past, I'd open up the bottom drawer and it'd be full of dust in there. When I'm using it now, and I say crank it up to the 3 motors, it's a pleasure. It draws out all the nasties, all the dust. The belt and disc sander, this is a budget belt and disc sander I got from Aldi. I've had it for years now. I've had it since I was in the old leaky single garage. And belt and disc sanders aren't great for dust extraction. In fact, generally they're very poor. But you can see the power of the thing drawing it out, and it's made a huge difference in here. The drum sander, what I've noticed since using this is the sanding belt is a lot cleaner, is a lot clearer, and lasts a lot longer as a result of it. I use like a Mercer Abranet style abrasive in there. And whereas it'd be clogged up and in the past and wouldn't last particularly long, it lasts so much longer as a result of that. So that's a really unexpected bonus. And also on the router table where I hook it up to the back where the fence is, and I can show a little bit of footage now, when I put some chippings down or some dust down coming from the actual router bit, again it's drawing out that, so it's not going up into the workshop atmosphere, if you like, to be either inhaled if you've got the mask on, but also like your eye protection and stuff, but also it's settling on all the flat surfaces in here, and you're constantly having to clear up that excess dust, those nasty microns. It's been, and I use the term in the thumbnail, and I don't use it lightly, a game changer in that respect. The difference in the dust extraction in this workshop now is immeasurable. It's fantastic. Now, I had my couple more things. Obviously, I had my wish list in that first video when I asked for your advice, and there was obviously the more powerful motor. The one that I didn't really tick, but it kind of does, is I was looking maybe at getting one with a cyclone. You know, I was looking possibly at getting a Laguna dust extraction system. I've seen Matt Esley, his recent video, a really good sort of demonstration of the capabilities of that, and that's got the inbuilt cyclone system. But believe it or not, with this, the way the steel pipe goes in, it kind of creates a vortex in there, so it's kind of a cyclone system by unexpected default or by design. I'm not sure, but you don't have that big visual sort of cyclone in here, so it has that. No bag. The metal, it's on wheels. I'll deal with wheels in a second because that was kind of like an optional extra. It uses a UK 3-pin socket. So my Laguna bandsaw, for example, is a 16 amp. My planer thicknesser is a 16 amp. I've only got one 16 amp socket in here. So the 3 amp socket, brilliant. It doesn't, whatever Joe, my electrician, does, it doesn't blow the mains, you know, so I can switch on the planer thicknesser in this, fine, no problem at all. Any of the machines working, it's worked perfectly. So a 3-pin, is it 240 volt, that kind of thing works great. My budget was up to £1,500 going back to the wheels for this. This unit was £999. I think it was £25 each and about £65 for the wheel. Whatever it was, it came to £1,115. So it was below my kind of targeted budget, which is great. Size-wise, obviously, it's not for everyone. But they do these in a variety of different sizes. What I would say, if you're thinking about purchasing one, the minimum I would go for is a dual motor. If you're really looking to treat yourself, the triple motor, there is a smaller version. I think it's 90 litres with 3 motors, so you know, be quite a bit smaller than this, but still got that 3 motor function, and I think that comes in at around $729.99. So if you check on Yandles or somewhere like that, which is where I got this from, you know, you've got that power still, but it's not eating in as much square footage in your floor space in your workshop. Which brings me back to the final bit, which is a little bit of a story to tell, so please indulge you on this in regards to actually purchasing it. Now, I have avoided a little bit talking about all the specifications. You know, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to look at the spec. You know, I'll leave a link to the Yandles website, which talks all about the airflow, all about the CFM, all those kind of things. But I've avoided that for a reason, because I'm just talking about real world experiences here. And this is a bit of a strange one, but I'll tell you. I went to a shop, retail shop, physical shop, won't say which one, which I knew stocked these, and I went cash money, ready to purchase it. And I got chatting to the fella. He says, oh yeah, he said, we do the Record Power, the CamVacs. And I said, I'm after the big one because, you know, large capacity, that kind of thing. And he said, well, what are you using it for? So I said, oh, it'll be for this. And then I said, I'll be using it for planer thicknesser as well. And he goes, oh, it won't work with that. I says, well, I've done my own work. I've done some, you know, looked at it, watched Dennis hooked on board on. No. And he wouldn't sell it me. He would not sell me this because he believed, or he was adamant, that the purposes I was going to use it for, it wouldn't work. And then maybe he thought I would be back with it in the boot of the car, returning it, saying it doesn't, you know, because then he starts, so it's all about airflow, and then takes me to a machine that looked pretty identical to the one I've got, or the one I had, I should say. So I walked away empty-handed, because I knew that what he was saying wasn't right, you know, because it was just going to be similar to what I had before. So I came back and ordered it online from Yandles. Now, I'm the kind of guy that generally, the general rule of thumb, anything over £100 in anything, not just in woodworking, I kind of like to get hold of it physically and see it first. So I am old school in that respect. I won't just order it online. But a big investment like something like this, absolutely, I'd want to see it. But Yandel's great, you know, arrived, whatever, it was a couple of days later. So I want to end this video by telling you this. If you are looking at one of these and you want to use it for the likes of a planer thicknesser, a bandsaw, a drum sander, a table saw, a router table, smaller items, if you get the adaptations like the track saw, the sander, this machine as an all-rounder is absolutely perfect for those applications. So don't take in, you know, oh, this has got less CFM or this has got airflow, it won't be enough. I'm telling you now that in dual motor or triple motor capacity, this is amazing. All right, this is absolutely amazing. So you want to hook it up to your planer thicknesser, this will work probably better than anything on the market out there, certainly around this price point, in terms of excellence in your dust extraction within your workshop. You can get a smaller one with a triple motor, you can get smaller ones than that with dual motors. Personally, I would recommend the triple motor one. It's kind of like the 2 plus the turbo boost thing. Certainly on the planer thicknesser, if I've been doing a lot of Canadian birch, which is like maple recently, a very dense hardwood, and I've popped it up to the triple motor thing. It works immaculately. It is brilliant. This is not a sponsored video. I have no affiliation with anything. I am not getting paid for this. I'm just saying it based on 5 months, nearly 6 months of usage. So I hope that is conclusive enough, folks. If you are thinking of investing in something like this, go for it. You won't be disappointed. All right, and I'm going to leave it at that one. So as ever, folks, take care and look after yourselves, and thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.